Hey guys, this is Yummy with Yummy Reviews, and today I'm going to be reviewing Mob Psycho Episode 2, Season 2. Now, in this episode, the plot doesn't get advanced too much, but there's a lot of comedic gold that I think makes this episode well worth watching. So basically, the start of the episode is Reagan speaking about not having enough clients and not making enough money. So he basically researches on the internet where a lot of urban legend sightings are, and takes him and Mob on a train to head over there to take advantage of the local populace being more susceptible to believing about ghosts and paranormal stuff. So he can take advantage of that and get hired for certain jobs. And basically, that happens pretty quickly on. As soon as he gets over there, he runs into another local sidekick that kind of butts heads with him, And they're kind of competing for a job. And a local comes up to them and asks them if they're psychics because she feels like a spirit's been following her around. And essentially, she hires them to take care of all the local urban legends, which sets up the rest of the episode and the comedy that ensues. Now, the first urban legend they run into is the man-faced dog, which is essentially a dog that had the three kids drew on that kind of resembled a human face. And they took care of this dog. They took advantage of this dog's owner because he has bad eyesight. And so they knew that the dog wouldn't get his face washed because the owner wouldn't realize it. And so Reagan, scolds him, which is kind of funny because he ends up using a different name after he hits him because they threaten to tell on him, which Mob kind of points out, which is funny because Reagan's acting like, oh, I'm teaching these kids a lesson and go ahead and tell on me, and he gives a fake name, classic Reagan style. The second urban legend that they run into is actually ran into by the other sidekick that he met at the beginning of the episode. He's basically in the park investigating and trying to get a lead, and runs into some kids that mention something about the red coat. They saw the red coat urban legend. And he's trying to get a lead on there, and he grabs onto one of the girls, like trying to shake her, like, "Hey, tell me this information." And she gets super creeped out, thinking that he's trying to be a pervert. And so they start throwing rocks at him, and they kind of pull apart like a rape whistle type of thing. And then the parents around her start staring at him, and basically the girls start walking away. And ironically enough, the red raincoat urban legend kind of runs out and starts sprinting after the kids. And the psychic basically chases him down, grabs him, and then he falls down. He ends up tripping him, and then it's funny because the raincoat unravels and the dude's freaking naked under there, just with his hairy ass sitting there. It's kind of funny. And then they go into like a Street Fighter montage where they're sitting there ducking and doing combos, and the psychic ends up tackling him and subduing him, but the red raincoat pervert gets away through trickery, and that's what leads to the next urban legend, because the psychic chases him into the forest and it actually ends up getting tased by him. And I'm assuming this is something that's happened before, so I'm not exactly sure what he was going to do to him. Was he going to kill him? I don't know exactly what was going to go there, but he tases the psychic guy. The red raincoat guy tases the psychic guy, and then that's when the dragger shows up and and starts doing her thing, and ends up knocking him out and dragging him into the lake. And the psychic guy tries to stop her with some, he actually kind of surprised me with some kinetic ability, but she just blows it off like nothing. And then that's when Dimple comes in, because earlier in the episode, Mob tells Dimple that he can kind of feel energy coming around, and he should follow the other sidekick because they split off and agreed to help each other, and they split off. And so he sent Dimple to go over there and help and be backup for the other sidekick. And so he takes over his body, and then there's an epic fight scene where the dragger is basically like turns her arm into a sword, and she's jumping all around. And, I mean, it's pretty animated, pretty well, beautiful. Just beautiful animation, beautiful design, jumping from the trees, chopping trees down. It just looked really good, One Punch Man level animation. I was pretty impressed with it. I enjoyed it. It felt like a pretty long fight scene. And basically he holds on until Mob gets there. And Mob uses his telekinetic power to basically body slam the dragger into the tree, and then she retreats into the water. And and they basically the other sidekick says that they can't beat her because everyone's in Japan has been um, at one point in their life scared of the dragger because it's basically a Japanese urban legend that I hadn't heard before, which is kind of interesting because this episode gave a kind of a window into Japanese culture. And so what the dragger is like say a kid's walking home on a rainy day in a Japanese city, and they have how they have those narrow alleyways. And I guess the dragger's meant to dwell in those alleyways and grab you and kind of pull you down the alley and you never escape. So every child at some point in their life has been um, kind of told that story, so they fear it, so they actually can't exercise it. So it's a lot like, let's say in the States, if Bloody Mary ended up getting enough juice to become reality, like come into the actual physical world. At one point or another, most of us probably have heard the Bloody Mary story. Probably were scared to go into the bathroom in the dark, spin 3 times, and say Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary. So if it ever came down to it, in adulthood, you couldn't exercise it as far as the logic goes in this anime because you were at least once scared of it. But of course, Mob's not into pop culture, not into social media, not into kind of exploring that type of stuff. So he was able to exercise her. Because basically the reason why the dragger was there is because so many people believed in her, and that's what gave her her power. So I don't know if you've ever watched Supernatural, but there's a few episodes where they kind of use that same concept where an urban legend explodes on the internet, and then all of a sudden there's a physical like a physical being made from that energy of like the supernatural energy created from the myth and the kind of myth from it. So I thought that was a pretty interesting concept too. But yeah, after the dragger's defeated, they go in. I guess there's another urban legend of a being that runs through a train area outside of town, like a train. What do you call it? I'm gonna butcher the word, I guess. Train hallway, train tunnel, and she basically runs. And then if she catches you from behind, she jumps on your back and strangles you to death. So they go over there, and they see this thing running, just hauling ass fast, just bolting. And Mob tries to exercise it and just fails, just can't do it. So he succumbs to the realization that thing's too strong and he's not going to be able to exercise it. So Reagan's like, hell no, we got to get out of here. We can't give up. We just got to run, because if that thing catches up to us, it's going to jump on our back and choke us out. Well, it ends up that spirit ends up blowing past both of them, and it turns out it's just the grandma. And so when she blows past him, knocks Mob to the ground. He hits his face on the ground. His nose is bleeding, and he actually gets up and he's crying. And another comedy gold section of that episode, Reagan asks him why he's crying, and it's because he says he's been running so much and working on it, and an old lady can run faster. I mean, so he's basically putting in all this work, and some 70-year-old lady just booking it past him. So I don't know, I thought it was pretty damn funny. Yeah, overall the plot didn't advance too much in this episode, but it was still pretty good. I'd probably give it a 4 out of 5 because I really enjoyed just the comedy aspect of it. Yeah, the plot didn't advance very much, but it's kind of like the Seinfeld thing, usually at the beginning of the episode to the end, really nothing changed. There's kind of the content in it that made it good. And Seinfeld was, a great show for years and years and years, number one. And so it's kind of the same concept now. Over the course of the season, the episodes definitely will advance the plot, but I don't think Mob Psycho is really dependent on the plot, which is why I like it, because it's not like something like One Piece where they're always advancing the plot. They're always trying to get to the One Piece. They're always trying to work towards that goal. Mob Psycho just kind of enjoys itself, doesn't take itself so seriously. So I think that's why I enjoy this anime so much. But yeah, if you like the review, hit a thumbs up, sub to the channel if you want more in the future. Hit the bell notification if you want to be notified for my next review. In the comments below, mention which urban legend that you remember as a kid that kind of resonated with you. So I'm kind of curious. I'll mention mine probably down in the comments too because I have one. But yeah, thanks for watching and peace out.